A long time ago in a strange land. Florida, actually. Tampa, Florida. It was way back in 1978, and I quit school at the University of South Florida. This journalism program just wasn't working for me. No financial aid, no support from the family, had to get a job. So I got a real job. It was in a factory, and I showed up Monday morning, huge industrial space, I mean, really high ceilings. We were talking about half a football field long, and there were these like small cranes holding these round, huge steel grates. And I walk in and I'm introduced to my work partner. This is Gilberto. Gilberto, he's a Latino man. He didn't have much to say because we had to get to work. This was all about work. And what it was, these huge steel grates had these round holes. And the idea was that we would put a brooch through the hole, put it into a hydraulic head. And the brooch has these cutting edges, and it, under thousands of pounds of hydraulic pressure, pulls this through and cuts it into like a four-leaf clover-shaped hole. So what I was making in this industrial job factory was holes. Yes, holes was the product. And these steel grates. And your productivity was measured in holes. 600 or 800 a day. 1,000 being the gold standard. And Gilberto, he had been working there for a little while. He wanted to get going. You talk about a soul-deadening, mind-numbingly boring job this was. Safety equipment. This was Florida in '78. They don't care about workers. Safety equipment was, grab yourself a pair of gloves. I put on these old gloves, and like they were filled with metal filings. And, this is all I had to wear. And then, he would just, it was repeatedly, he would adjust the grate on the crane, and then he would put it through into the head, and I would turn it on, and he would pull it through, and then I'd detach that brooch and then hand it around to him again and again and again. And I'm like, oh, I think I can do this, huh? $6 an hour, big money in Florida in those days, believe it or not. So this went on, and lunchtime comes, and there's these other guys over there, and they're like, hey, come with us. We're going up to Burger King. Okay, I'll go with them. So, we only had a half an hour for lunch. So we get in the car, and as soon as that car pulls out of the parking lot of the place, they pull out all these joints and start toking and smoke. I mean, just puffing and puffing and puffing. I mean, we pull up to the Burger King. They're still smoking. And I'm saying, well, when in Rome, do as the Romans do. What the heck? Anything to get through this day. I mean, they barely stopped when we got up to the window. I mean, the woman inside, the young woman, she must have known. She said, oh, those guys again, because there's probably clouds coming out of the windows. They didn't stop, even when we went. I think they stopped smoking just to eat. Then we get back, and it's back to holes. And, I'm like as stoned as could be. I'm like, oh, you all right? I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm all right, and this was like, this is how it went on. What would a crappy job be without a crappy boss? And our boss was Johan, a tyrant, if there ever was one. I mean, you'd get there at 9 o'clock, starting time, and he'd come out. I don't hear any noise. Let's hear some noise. Cranking that whip. He didn't have it, but he might as well have. And then back to the holes. Like I say, and I was just wondering, oh yeah, I kept telling myself, I can do this, it's a real job now. Well, so as I'm operating the machine, the brooch comes through, and like only half the brooch comes through. I'm like, whoa. And there's Gilberto holding the other side of the brooch on the other side. And I'm remembering a story one of these guys told me about one of the brooches snapping and then springing across the room and through the wall on the other side of the room. And I'm like, that could have just happened. And my head is like that close, like, whoa. Well, the brooch was broken, so they had to make a new one. This is specialized equipment. So, all right, they hand me a broom. Start sweeping the floor. Now, this is like an industrial space. The floor is not too clean to start with, and sweeping it isn't doing it any good, but it's like, you gotta work. No sitting around. That's Jonah. So there I am, sweeping the floor. You know, I'm holding it like this. Along comes Johan, and he's like, he looks at me. And he goes, "That's not the way to do it." And I'm like, "Huh?" And he grabs the broom out of my hand and he bends over. He goes, "You're supposed to sleep like this." I go, "Excuse me, but I worked as a janitor. That's really bad for your back to bend over like that. This is the right way." And boy, he gave me a look like I was a pile of dirt. Off he went. Well, as the days went on, after the first week, I was just like, oh my God, I can't believe I'm doing this. I mean, doing holes is just so boring. I mean, it's the worst job I ever had. I didn't care to, but you know, I started neglecting, you know, myself. I mean, I forget about taking a bath. Why take a shower to do a job like this? Well, this is not a job, but you dress up, you know. So like, I remember showing up one morning, and I had my old work boots on, these bright green socks, and you know, it was Florida in the summer, so it was so hot in there too, and I had on these raggedy shorts. I had on an bright orange t-shirt because I used to work in this pizza place, and that was the shirt, and then I had my long hair tied back and this dirty bandana. What a sight I must have been, because there comes Johan to open the door. He looks at me. He says, "Looks like we're running a fucking kindergarten here." I was, don't say anything to the boss. He goes in, he opens it up. Well, this, you know, this, again, I'm wondering about how long, but I need the job, you know, because I don't have any other means of support. But the second week passed, and on the second Friday, I got paid for the first week. So I grabbed that money, and I did what all workers, or so many workers do in these in circumstances. I went to the bar, and I drank a lot. I mean, just so much. Hey, I got money, I can drink, yeah. You know, met a few friends, bought them drinks, beers, even right through to Sunday night. Because, you know, and I'm thinking about it, like, is this how it's going to be for my life? You know? I mean, some of these guys had worked there for a while. And Gilberto, my friend, he, you know, my workmate, he had told me he had a family, and, you know, this was going to be a career for him. So, you know, I made the mistake, or maybe it was a good thing, of going out Sunday night and drinking too. But when I got up Monday morning, I was like, I cannot get out of bed. And it was more than a hangover. It was like, this is just killing me. And it's so dangerous. I can't do it. I couldn't do it. So I didn't even call in. I just didn't go in. The next Friday was payday for the week before, and I was like, they're going to give me my money. So I walked in. I'm going to see Johan here. I'm going to give him a piece of my mind. He's going to pay me. I went in there. When I walked in, I went by. There was Gilberto. He sees me and he gives me this look like, what a surprise. Hey, man. Walked to the office. Johan wasn't around. Handed me my check. And I walked out the door. There was Gilberto. I just said, see you later, man. He goes, take it easy. And I walked out of there, and I was like, you know, I'm so glad to be out of that job. It's done. And I was like, I wondered about how could anyone stay in a job like that? I mean, a lot of people do, but how could they do it? It's just so mind-numbingly boring, soul-crushing, and dangerous. And then I remembered Gilberto telling me about his wife, and he had a couple kids. And that's what he was doing it for. He didn't have that choice, but I did. And that's the end of that story. Thank you very much.